So in this video series we are going to talk about certain historical injustices that were done to the pagans of Bharat, and they still remain to be injustices because the logic that is prevailing, or the narrative that is prevailing amongst our youth or amongst our people, okay, is that since those injustices were done in the past, okay, it makes no sense to revisit those wounds or freshen up those wounds again, and there is no need for justice just because it has been so long that these injustices have been done. Okay, now that cannot be any far away from truth. All right, so everybody knows why exactly is Nalanda very famous. Okay, we know what happened in Nalanda. If you don't know, then I would say that you should read. Do not just depend upon the history that our schools teach us. The schools will never teach us right history. Why? Because majority of the schools, they are run by the pagans. Okay, and the state has certain rules and restrictions about the syllabus that you can teach in those institutions. Why? Because we are expected to display our secular credentials. At the same time, the monotheists are not required to display their secular credentials. Why? Because simply because they are monotheists. Okay, and we should be very large hearted, because poor them, they failed to convert us, and hence we should have some sympathy and empathy. Why? Because they failed to convert us. All right, so there are places in our country that are named after marauders, rapers, and I'm talking rape at the scale, at the medieval scale. Okay, there was no count. There were women who were paraded naked through the streets. There was massacres on unprecedented scale. Each and every massacre setting a new precedent. Okay, so there is a place called Bakhtiyarpur, and Bakhtiyar was the person who burned down Nalanda. But none of our history textbooks talk about this. Why? Because we have to be secular, so certain people from a certain community do not get offended. Okay. Now, for a time, for a moment, you must think, what was the need to burn the library? Okay, I can still understand the rationale behind destroying our temples that the monotheists put forward. Okay, because it irritates them to their core, the temples. I can understand them. But why exactly destroy libraries? What was the logic behind destroying libraries?